who's back.
William Lewis is back, and it's our opportunity to deal with him in a trial, which for Barba is finally a chance to try to redeem what happened, you know, because I feel responsible for the fact that he walked, and even, you know, that the case was lost and that there was no way to get this guy under control. And I feel responsible about what happened to her, you know. And it's interesting because it's not like Barba's Mr. Chatty and emotional about these things. So it's interesting to finally get to process all of it. And it promises to be a really interesting trial.
Actually, I wonder much an extension of that.
I remember reading the first episode and thinking, this is insane. I mean, I can't believe it was hard to read on the page. And then it was a mixed experience to watch, because watching it was both the devastation of what's happening to Benson and the sort of horror as it continues, and then at the same time the total admiration for how spectacular Mariska and Pablo were and how great the episode turned out to be, and then the response to it from the fans and people watching the network, you know, just the whole explosion of attention around SVU as though it were this brand new experience that was happening. And I feel like it gave the show a massive bolt of, you know, lightning to start the season. And so that's been kind of simmering under this whole season so far. We're dealing with so many changes among the squad. We're dealing with changes among people's relationships and personal problems. We're dealing with the repercussions of what happens when Benson isn't necessarily at the top of her game anymore. Although she's trying to move forward in her life, what it means to have undergone something like this, and sometimes she's not quite on it. Sometimes she makes mistakes. For me, this episode we're working on right now, it has been a long time coming, because I'm finally, one, getting to deal with what happened, but two, I have to both be an advocate for her and at the same time her friend who wants to do right by her. But she didn't necessarily behave in the most defensible fashion, even though it's completely defensible and we wish we could have shot the guy in the head. So there's this quandary constantly. Yesterday we were doing some scenes that were just like rocking. I mean, the kind of days you come to work. Started off with Mariska and myself in my office doing a scene where it's the kind of days you come to work and you're just like, oh, this is why I do this. Because just every moment just got better and better and better. Plus we've got Mike Slovis back, who I guess knows a little something about good television. Lewis is very smart because he knows exactly how to play people, particularly women, and how to charm them. And one of the things that he does is he manages to get rid of his attorney so that he can be the one to cross-examine Benson. And it's a perfect strategy for him because he gets to basically call the shots. He gets to play both the victim and the aggressor simultaneously, and it handcuffs my ability to take him down personally, and it forces Benson to have to confront him face to face. And I think we build to a spectacular climax. There's a scene in this episode that's going to take an entire day to film. Literally, we were dedicating 12 hours to one scene. So I don't want to give anything away about it, but it reads brilliantly, and I can't wait to see what we get to do with it.
You had mentioned a little bit sort of how that is.
It's interesting because I feel like I loathe him. I find him reprehensible and revolting, and there's a massive anger that I have towards him as a man, and also not just because of what he did, but the pride of not being able to get him. And I feel like I've got to come at him with guns blazing. However, I can't exactly, because I've got to be able to win this case without crossing any lines myself. And part of what happens with Lewis is we have this. It's not a direct antagonism. I can barely look at him. I go through the motions when I have to deal with him. Sometimes he'll object, and I won't even turn and look at him. I'll talk to him through the judge or someone else. It's that thing in the room that you just can't even bear to deal with. That's what he represents to me, and